Okay, so we're going to move on now to the next chord, which is going to be an A major chord, which is going to give you 3 chords in your chord library that we're building up slowly. Now there are 2 ways you can play an A major chord. Now in a minute I'm going to zoom in on here so you can see what my fretting hand's doing. There are 2 ways, and I'm going to advise you, beginners generally start with one type of A major chord. And what it does is the way the fingers are arranged, it allows you to play easier the other chords, changing from one chord to the next, as you'll see in the next parts, where I'm going to be giving you hints and tips on these changes, and we're going to learn some songs with these chords. You'll see how fingering the chord in this way is going to allow you to change from one chord to the next a lot easier, which is very good when you're a beginner, and when things are a little bit unsure and you're not sure if you're doing things well. It's always good to learn the easiest way so that you see the results quicker. So let's move on then to the next part of this course here, where we're going to be learning the A major chord, the beginner version. Alright, so we've got to zoom in on the fretboard here. Hello? Alright, now remember, with all these chords you want to make sure that your hand position is always the same, so that you can lift over and make sure that when you're fretting a note, the strings below it aren't going to be muted by the finger that you're fretting with. So make sure that the palm of the hand here just locks in nicely here, so that you've got lots of room above the fretboard to place your fingers down. Now, remember also that this part of the fretboard here is electrified, so you can't touch that. So you're going to have to move the thumb down, and then you're going to have a small hole like that underneath the fretboard. That's the positioning that you want for all these chords that we're playing. Thumb just over the fretboard, but not much, not like this, just slightly over the fretboard. Alright, now the A chord, we're going to build it up one note at a time and deal with all the problems that the A chord will present, hopefully. We've got first finger here. Now the first finger is going to go on the beginner version on the 2nd fret on the 3rd string, which is the G string here. Now you're going to want to put it just behind the fretboard to start off with, just here. And let's play that note together. 3, 2, 1. Hopefully yours is sounding something like that and not like, if it's sounding like, then you need to push down a little bit harder. You may be too far back, or you may be too far forward and actually on the fret. You want to be just behind the fret, pushing down nice and gently. You don't need too much force to get a clear note. And there's your first note. Alright, second finger then is going to want to go on the 2nd fret, but on the string above the first finger here. So we're looking at the D string, the 4th string. Now in order to get this finger on here, you're going to have to move down the first finger, because you'll see if you try and put both on the same fret, your hand's going to have to move around all over the place. So don't worry, let it slip back about halfway between the fretboard. Get the 2nd finger and place it just behind the fret. And let's play that note on its own. 3, 2, 1. Now if it's not sounding like that, again, you might have gone too far forward, because this first finger is trying to push it forward. So make sure you're not too far and it sounds like that. Make sure you put it back. Or I wouldn't have thought so, but some of you might have gone too far back like this. You've got maybe a clear note, but it's starting to buzz. Make sure this 2nd finger now is just behind the fret. First finger is going to be about halfway between the 2 frets. Finally, 3rd finger is going to tuck in behind the all of them. We're going to be on the 2nd fret on the 2nd string, and this one is going to be able to sit just on the 2nd fret, just behind, sorry, the 2nd fret like that. And we're going to play that note on its own. 1, 2, 3. Should have sounded like that. More than likely, the fingers slip slightly too far forward, and you might be playing the next note up, or you might get a buzz. So you want to bring it down just behind the fret, like what we've been doing with all the chords. Okay, now we're ready to start picking out all the notes of the chord and seeing if there's any problems that are arising from this chord here. So, as you can see from the chord diagram, the 0 means that we're going to play that open string on the 5th string, which is an open one, the A. So let's just play that on its own and see if there's any problems. Yours should sound like that. If it doesn't, This finger here, which is your second finger, may have been placed a little bit too far over the string. It may be too flat like this. You don't want that. Remember, on the tip, on the very tip of the finger, make sure that the tip is just behind the fret, and have a look at the fretboard. Lean your head over and see for yourself if that finger is touching the open A string. If it isn't, it should sound like this. Alright, next finger then. We're looking at playing this one, we've already worked through, so we're going to play that. Make sure you don't move any of the other fingers. If you're getting a fret buzz, adjust only that finger until you've got it. If you've got something that sounds like this, just adjust the finger until you get a nice sound. Now remember, we're doing all downstrokes with the plectrum on all of these strings, so don't worry if it's a little bit difficult to pick out these notes. We are going to work on the right hand later on in the course. Just for now though, just try and get that string ringing out. Okay, next one. Now this is a problem one. The first finger. There's a couple of problems that might arise. It should sound like this. If it sounded like, or like that, the first finger's probably gone too far back, which is usually what happens with most students that I get. It falls too far backwards. So make sure that you push that first finger as close into this sort of chunk of fingers here. So you want to be playing that in the middle of that fret. That's about as close as you can get it. Final string then should sound like this. Make sure that the first finger hasn't leant over too much, or the second finger hasn't leant over, but that one should be okay for most people. If it's not, you might have again gone too far forward. Bring it back behind the fret. Finally, big problem, big bugbear for everyone is the open E string at the very bottom here. The dreaded third finger, which always mutes the strings below it because of the sort of puffy pad underneath. You just got to make sure that when you place your finger down, that you've given enough room for the string below it, the open E, and that it's not muting the string above it, the G string here, which is being dealt with by the first finger. Let's hear that open note. More than likely it sounded like this. That's because, as you can see, my third finger, in order to get that, I had to tilt it slightly. If I bring it back up like this, it should now be ringing out. Many guitarists put their third finger flat like this. Don't want to have that much pressure on it, just a nice light. Make sure you've lifted up, you're not touching this fretboard underneath, there's a small gap. Then you should, if you put it down on the tip, leave enough room. That's the A major chord. Let's strum that chord again, all of the notes. Good, okay, now if there are any problems when you strum that note, repeat the process that we just went through. All three fingers, one at a time, fixing any errors, and then the strum. That's how we've been working through all the chords, and it's the best way to practice so that you can get the best results. Now that is an A major chord. You're almost ready, guys, to work on some songs, some strumming, and start playing some music, alright? Okay, good job, guys, for getting this far. That's that A major chord, hopefully there. You've got some material now to practice with your other two chords that you've been working on. So we've got 3 chords in our dictionary. Now that is enough chords to actually start playing a couple of well-known songs. And I'm going to be teaching you a few at this stage, very early on. We're just looking at getting you playing a couple of songs. So if you don't like the artists or bands, hopefully it's not too much of a big deal, because the point of it is to get used to using these chords in the songs in a musical way, basically. So well done on this A major chord and on all 3 other chords. You should be practicing them all the time, working through the process that I've discussed, one note at a time, strumming it out, fixing any errors, iron out that chord, and then move on to the next one, repeat the process. Now remember, the guitar beginner course has an exam at the end of it, so I will be testing you on the knowledge of these videos. It's free to be a member of the website. All you got to do is sign up. It just takes an email address. There's some forums there where you can ask questions. There's also a chat room where you can speak directly with me, and I can answer any questions that you might have. And there's also a load of other features that are free for members. All you got to do is sign up with an email address. If you don't want to sign up, the next best thing you can do is share this video with anyone who you think might be interested in beginner guitar lessons and the more advanced lessons that will be on my website. www.rexpearson.com. So the more people can share, the faster we can grow, and the more lessons I can do for you guys if you're enjoying them. So, okay, the next thing we're going to be looking at is focusing on how to change now. This is the fun part, how to change from one chord to the next. Now this is one of those rite of passages that is going to be frustrating, it's going to be hard, but I'm going to be here to help you to change from one chord to the next. That's what we're going to be looking at.